All right. Now, in the part 3 of this chapter 1 video series, the next part is talking about using information technology for a competitive advantage. And the textbook introduces a theory that Michael Porter had, and actually a couple theories. The first one is the 3 strategies for successful competing in the marketplace. And it basically comes down to an overall cost of the leadership, the differentiation, and the focus, and how they connect the strategies by Michael Potter to information systems. So they're talking about information systems and how they can help a competitive advantage within companies. And they do that by talking about helping the bottom line of the company. How much money do they make in the end? Or the top line strategies, meaning how are they going to get to their bottom line? Like, what are they going to do? What kind of information do they need to be able to make decisions to come up with a good top line strategy? And again, as I've been saying throughout this lecture, this chapter, is that these information systems are all geared around helping management come up with information to help them make decisions or top line strategies to help them make bottom line dollars. And that's what this Michael Porter is talking about here. Use enterprise systems to create an effective and efficient and effective link between the suppliers and consumers. What they're talking about there is these larger managing information systems, which we get into in a lot more detail later on in the course. And we talk about these global information systems that they can connect the suppliers through the whole supply chain management, because there's multiple players involved sometimes in getting a product from, the raw materials that they pull out of the earth to a finished product that the consumer purchases. So this chapter gets into a little more detail than the slides, and a little more detail than what I'm going to get into here in this video class. So when they're talking about these competitive advantages with the Michael Porter's strategies, I'd like you to go through and read those. They do. He goes into a little bit more detail on this differentiation strategies of making their products and how these information systems can help make products or services different from their competitors to give them a competitive advantage. And you probably know yourself when you're buying something that you can buy that product at different places. Now, why would you buy it from one place to the other place? It could be for cost. It could be for how fast can you get it delivered. It could be the feedback that have that particular consumer. So there's a differentiation strategy that MIS systems can play. And Michael Porter comes up with this in more detail. Focus strategies. So these systems can also help focus on specific markets and segments of the markets to help achieve these costs and make more money, and help focus in on different strategies. Now, it's kind of vague, I think, in the beginning, but these are the 3 kind of main strategies that he talks about. Now, he does get into this 5-force model, understanding the business environment. And I'm going to let you guys go through that, talking about the 5 forces of buying power and how MIS systems actually play in the buying power with buying a product, or I should say the raw resources, and then the supplier who puts it together. There's this threat of substitute products or services or competition, I guess, creates a new, it creates an environment for new entrants into the marketplace or rivals that are currently among you and competitors. So they go through this in a little more detail in the book, and I'll let you go through that. And there'll be questions on the 5-force model, so be sure to go through and read each of the 5, be able to know the 5 and a little bit about each one of those. And I'm not going to go through it in any detail here. I want to focus in on this part 3 here on the IT job market, and not just the IT job market, but I also want to get into and talk about the job market for you. So if you guys go into a website called Indeed.com, and this is a great site, and you can set it up for Vancouver or anywhere you want. And let's say that you want to be an accountant, all right? So you pick accountant or whatever job that you want. You want to go into marketing. And what's really nice about this is this website which again is another managing information. It's an information system. It's got records, it's got data, and it's got information now. And I've asked it a question. My question is, I want to process what jobs do you have that are on to become an accountant? And it processed the information and gave me the information. So that's hence what we're doing right here. So what I wanted you to do is when you guys open up your particular job title, and you can go investigate all sorts of job titles, as pick one of these jobs or pick many of them and start reading through and looking through these jobs. You guys should be doing this because you want to know what your field is. And what you'll find a lot of times when you're in here is you'll see that a lot of these jobs require you to have an extensive knowledge. Now look at this, the qualifications for this job. They want you to have a degree. So good thing you're coming to Douglas and you're going to go through the process. But what's the second most thing that they want you? Now I didn't set this up. This is completely just random. The advanced, not just regular skills, but advanced skills in Excel. If you're an accountant, if you're not an expert proficient in Excel, you're not going to get that job. So there's a software system that you're going to need to know, a productivity. This is your computer literacy. Now, that's the general productivity literacy job portion. Now, if you look at the second part, this is the knowledge of computerized accounting software. That's managing an information system with a software or accounting focus. Now, they're looking for a particular product here called Sage 300. Is an asset if you get the job. Now, in this class, you'll have an opportunity, if you're an accountant, to learn as much about the Sage 300 as you can to do your presentation. This is the managing information system. Now, let's go to the next level. Excellent analytical and problem-solving skills. Again, you'll have to be able to come up with meaningful questions to be able to ask your information system to provide management. And if you look at what they're doing here, this particular job description is what we're teaching in MIS and CSIS 2200. So this is extremely important if you want to get a job in the area. And you can go through it. Sometimes they'll actually give you more details about the actual managing information system, but that's it right there for that job. Now, if I go to the second one, I'm just doing this randomly here, so let me go through and see if they've got another one here. Other ad hoc duties, just other duties that you need to do. But I'd have to sit here and read through the whole thing. This one's getting into more specific tasks like as a responsibilities, and they may not have a particular system in play. If you got the job interview, you might want to go through and say, oh, what managing information systems do you use? Although I think this might be it right here. Here it is right here. All right. Okay, so this is definitely, each of these companies is going to have somewhere within the job tasks what systems they use. And what's really interesting, if you go through enough of these job postings, is that you might start to see a pattern of what these managing systems are used in a particular area. And almost all of these jobs, they probably want you to be proficient with things like Microsoft Excel. A lot of companies actually test you on systems before they give you the job. All right, so here's QuickBooks is another system that is pretty common. If you're accounting, you'll probably learn that one anyways. But this will give you an opportunity in this class to learn even more options. Anyway, I'll let you guys go through this in more detail. And I hope you guys take up the time and learn more about your job market and what managing information systems will give you a strategic advantage. And on top of that, with your LinkedIn account, when you're applying for jobs, you will have all of these courses and certifications when you take a course that employers will see and say, oh, the student has lots of training in that particular area. And I tell you, I guarantee this will aid you in getting a job. This is what employers are looking for. They want you to have job-ready skills to get out there and work. This is just one for the IT industry and some of the job titles that the book goes through. But I don't want to be specifically focused on just IT because a lot of my students are in all the commerce and business administration classes. And I think you can apply the same kind of thing to your particular area. Some terminology like Chief Information Officer, the CTO or the CIO or the CFO or the CEO are all terminologies that you should be aware of the top management that you'll be sending reports to. In fact, I've got a report I'm sending out next week to our VP at Douglas College, and I need to get that report done and cleaned up and tested before I send that out. Yeah, so you can see there's a lot of different new job titles that are out there. And these are all pertaining around the IT market. But still, what's good about this, and you still need to understand that Manager of Information Services, every company has one of those. And even if you're not working in IT directly, you're still going to need to work with the Managing Information Systems Manager or the Systems Analyst, because these will be people that you'll work with. And you'll need to understand roughly what their jobs entail. Everyone uses computers, so the network administrator will definitely be part of your, and the database administrator for being able to ask questions and how to get information out. You may not be the database administrator, but you need to be able to ask questions and how to work with them and understand the basic functionality behind a database. And again, we'll be learning a lot of that in this course. You might even be working with some of the computer programmers or the webmasters, so all these people you might be working with, or you yourself may take on one of these roles. So predicting the future is always kind of a tough one to do, but it does look like, hardware and software costs are consistently declining. This new artificial intelligence is coming up, and this is such a big thing. I mean, there's a whole video on LinkedIn Learning on this one about how AI is going to disrupt a lot of jobs. And I would really get you to think seriously, is your job that you're going into, could it be disrupted by artificial intelligence? So if it is, you might want to really think about, is that a career path that you want to spend all of this time and energy on? For example, the legal profession is being disrupted with artificial intelligence. They're putting all these textbooks, legal textbooks, into an AI repository. The database can correlate all the information, and anytime you have a legal question, you can query the database, and it will provide a more clear precedent information. So the legal profession is being disrupted by artificial intelligence, and there's so many industries that are being outsourced by this. Companies want it because they can have a machine do it rather than a person. Computer literacy and network technology will improve, of course, as time goes on. More and more people become smarter and smarter at how computers work, how networks work, how the internet works, etc. Personal computers will improve in power and quality. We know that. Internet is growing constantly. A real fun one here is, I don't know if you've heard about Elon Musk and his new Skynet that he's putting in, a bunch of satellites orbiting around the planet, and he's looking at creating a global internet service provider when he launches his satellites using that SpaceX rocket. Anyway, it's kind of a neat one. You can do a little research on that one if you're interested. Something to keep in mind in the future is computer crime is on the way up, and these management information systems are key targets, and you could be spoofed into providing information to these guys to gain access. So I'm always extremely cautious when anytime anyone asks for information. I want to vet who they are. If it's a random call or something like that, I just don't put any information out until they've been verified and vetted. Computer crime is actually a huge industry on its own. Computer security, a great area to get into right now. And although AI is disrupting that as well, because AI might actually have solutions for protecting systems extremely well. Protect your personal information, of course, is very important. Social media, again, I don't think you should have a lot of your personal information on that. There's just so much problems. I've been a victim of this myself a couple of times, and it is very problematic. So something to think about with these systems. When you put the data in there, who has the data and what could it be used for? A lot of data now is being sold, but it's also being hacked and sold by third parties. Some of the trends that are coming up with these managing systems is what they call IoT, or the Internet of Things. These are ambiguous computer devices that you don't really see. This could be like thermostats on your wall. Another one is OK Google. When you say OK Google, what temperature is it outside? OK Google, what temperature is it outside?
The current temperature in
All right, so there's my Google, and you just talk to it, so it's very ambiguous. These things are coming on more and more all the time. Again, there's other technologies. I think AI is probably one of the most significant with quantum computing right now. And there's another video on quantum computing on the LinkedIn Learning that you guys should have a look at. All right, and I think I've covered this. Augmented and virtual reality for the gaming. So in summary, the Managing Information System for Chapter 1, computers and information systems are used to hopefully reduce the costs for companies and to gain a competitive advantage over other companies. And that's why companies have these, and that's why they're so important. Most of you are going to be working in an organization and probably using multiple managing information systems. And the better you are at them, the better you're going to be at your job, that's for sure, or the better chance you're going to be able to get a job. Information systems are designed to collect data, as we talked about. They organize the data, they process the data, they deliver the data in a meaningful, relevant, useful, timely fashion to make decisions. And that's the bottom line. So I hope that made some sense. You guys should read through the chapter. And on Fridays, at the time of this recording, or whatever it says on the Blackboard course, will be when the quiz will be available, and the quiz will be in Blackboard. So have a look. If you have any questions, you can send me an email. All right, I'll see you in the next video.